Well, this is something I didn't think we'd be talking about. We're going over to the Detroit Red Wings and talking about their goaltending. And in fact, there actually was some news today that I think we can dive into just a little bit. You know, we're on the subject of netminders anyway. Let's talk about what the Wings did earlier this morning and then get into the big rumor. Here's an update from the Wings early on Monday that they have loaned goaltender Ville Husso to the AHL's Grand Rapids Griffins for conditioning. Now, this isn't really the most significant piece of news because Ville Husso hasn't played a game in almost 2 full months. And yeah, I mean, he's played only 2 games in the calendar year of 2024. One of them was in the AHL. So he's been pretty banged up. He hasn't even really been too good in the stint that he had. Okay, I mean, he had 1 game played in Grand Rapids and he had a shutout, so I guess that counts for something, but his NHL numbers have not been good this season. .892 save percentage and a .355 goals against. Some of the worst numbers Husso has had at the NHL level in his entire career. So we'll see what exactly it is he's able to do in the AHL with a brief conditioning stint. This hopefully will be a bounce back for him. You don't want to ever see players go down the drain in terms of their on-ice performance. But speaking about goaltenders, I wanted to go over to this article published on The Athletic earlier this week by Max Bultman and go over a few interesting ideas that are brought up. Here's the article from April 5th, Assessing the Red Wings' Goaltender Outlook and Summer Needs. Mailbag Part 2. Now, you know the drill. The Athletic is paid for material, so we're not going to go ahead and screenshot this, but instead, we're going over onto Spectre's Hockey from Sunday, April 7th, because Lyle Richardson goes out there and summarizes what it is that Bultman writes about. Take a look at this. Could the Red Wings shop for a goaltender this summer? Max Bultman looked at what the Red Wings might do with their goaltending during the offseason. They have Ville Husso and Alex Lyon under contract for next year. Lyon has a .906 save percentage in 40 games, and Husso has been sidelined most of the year with an .892 save percentage in 19 games when healthy. The Wings could return with that tandem next season and attempt to upgrade the defense in front of them. Another option could be pursuing an upgrade between the pipes like Calgary's Jacob Markstrom or Boston's Linus Ullmark. They might have to move Ville Husso's $4.75 million cap hit to make it work. So here is our idea. Could we see one of these top Swedish goaltenders head over to Detroit? And in particular, I wanted to talk about Jacob Markstrom the most because he is the guy that I'm the most familiar with. The Lyle Richardson Spectre's note goes out there and says this: provided Markstrom or Ullmark agree to a trade to the Detroit Red Wings, this would be probably too expensive for Steve Yzerman. This summer's free agent market is a thin one for goalies, and Yzerman might find it easier to improve the defense corps to lessen the workload of Husso and Lyon. So let's talk about each of these 2 guys right here. Jacob Markstrom is one of the more interesting goaltenders around the NHL because he probably shouldn't even be a Calgary Flame right now. We all thought he was going to get traded to New Jersey. It's apparent that Markstrom himself even thought that he was going to get traded to New Jersey. But the Calgary Flames, upon winning a few games heading into the trade deadline, were like, okay, no, stop it. We'll make the impulsive decision to keep Markstrom and try to capitalize on this winning streak we've got. Maybe we'll make the playoffs. Who really knows? Spoiler alert, they didn't do it, but you can respect the hustle, right? They tried it. Just didn't work. But now, Jacob Markstrom is 34 years old, still the 6'6", 205 left-handed catcher goaltender that he is, whose contract expires at the end of the 2026 season, so in 2 years. $6 million AAV is the cap hit, and he has a .906 save percentage in 46 games played this year. Markstrom has had a very odd career in terms of being good and then being bad and then being good and then being bad. It's usually a pattern like that. .918 in Vancouver, .904 first season in Calgary, .922 in Calgary in his second season, then an .892 last year. Now he's back up there to a .906. So he's been in that pattern of good and bad, good and bad. If you wanted to project it next year, I mean, he's due for a bad year. And I'm like half joking, half not. It's just some interesting observation that I've put out there. But if the Detroit Red Wings feel like an upgrade is necessary, then maybe they go after a goalie. Maybe the Calgary Flames are able to retain salary on that. I don't know. They were really unwilling to do that earlier in the trade deadline period, so I really don't know what would have changed between now and then. Maybe if the Calgary Flames lose out in the playoffs in an embarrassing fashion, they start losing all these games and they're not all too great, then maybe it's easier for the Flames to say, okay, fine, we'll retain salary on Jacob Markstrom, but we have to trade him elsewhere. Not New Jersey, because they already got their goaltender in Jake Allen. If it's Stevie Y knocking on Cronroy's door and he wants, let's say, 25% salary retained, then honestly, I feel like it's a pretty okay move. It's just, you're going to have to make sure you free up that Ville Husso money. The thing is, Husso has been out for such a long time that, is there really any value for this guy? He would be seen more so as a cap dump for any of these other NHL teams that Stevie Y would be dangling him to. Hey, he had bad numbers, he didn't play much, and he was sent down to the AHL multiple times, and he's making 4-point-something mil? Like, that is totally a negative asset there. So, if there is some sort of a trade, then the Wings would need to give up a whole bunch of stuff to make it go through. Like, let's just assume it's Markstrom for Husso, for example. In order to make that actually work and the Flames be willing to say yes to it, the Wings would have to attach a bunch of prospects and a bunch of picks and maybe a roster player or something, all to, firstly, match the value of a Jacob Markstrom, but also to recuperate the lost value in acquiring a guy like Ville Husso. Because Husso could be seen as a negative asset, you would kind of have to double down, and the question is whether or not you feel comfortable doing that. Now, I have no doubt that even with the Jacob Markstrom good year, bad year scenario, he's probably going to do pretty well wherever he plays next season. And for the Wings, a team that was barely squeaking into the postseason in this year's worth of play, there could be some reason to believe that a star, number one top-tier goaltender could be valuable. It's just, do you not believe in Alex Lyon to be able to do that? Well, if you do, then okay, then you don't need to make the trade. Plain and simple. If you feel there's room for error with Lyon, though, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, maybe we can make a trade. Maybe Lyon can be a backup, or maybe we do a 1A, 1B situation. Maybe it's split. Let's say Markey gets 37 games. Let's say that Alex Lyon gets 30 games, and then the remainder games will be played by a Sebastian Cossa or something. Somebody that gets called up and put into a relief role. Something like that, maybe. And when it comes to the Calgary Flames, this would open the door up for a guy like Dustin Wolf to be given more minutes and an extended role. Dan Vladar can still stick around. And for Calgary, there could be some good youth development going on here, especially depending on what young guys they're able to get from a Red Wings trade with Markstrom involved. Hey, there's a really good AHL player the Wings have in Jonathan Berggren that's probably going to be moved soon. And if the Calgary Flames think that that's a guy that they could give some good minutes to at the NHL level next year, that could be a pretty interesting chip. You also have a few extra defensemen the Wings have in their system, and Calgary has been really bolstering up their blue line the past few weeks here with these trades. Hunter Brustevich, Yoni Yermo from the Lindholm trade, you've got Miramana from the Hanifin trade, and the Tanev trade saw a few defensemen as well, so there are a lot of young D-men that the Calgary Flames have been targeting. Maybe they stick around in that territory in some future trades. Maybe they go the forward route. Who really knows? But if the Detroit Red Wings are interested in a guy like Jacob Markstrom, maybe this could work. Who really knows? I actually do like the idea a lot, which is why I wanted to make this video, but I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Would you think this is a good idea for the Detroit Red Wings, targeting a guy like Jacob Markstrom of the Calgary Flames? We could also have an entire other conversation about Linus Ullmark, but I'd rather talk about Markey because I'm more familiar with his game. He's really good. It's just very antsy and quick and jittery. He kind of plays like he's on Adderall. It's really interesting. So if you're a fan of the Detroit Red Wings, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think about a Jacob Markstrom trade, and what would you be okay with in giving up to Calgary to make this kind of a trade go through? Do you need to get some salary retained? Markey's making $6 million a year, so is that a little bit too much? Calgary Flames fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what you think about this entire trade idea, and would you feel the Red Wings are an appropriate trade destination? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.